Hello, welcome to a program, a podcast that is produced by the Friends of Terry Virgil. And yes, I am Terry Virgil. And yes, a lot of times on a lot of the things that I look at, I talk about politics. I mainly talk about how the morons, idiots that are liberals, Democrats, socialists and communists, how they want to destroy liberty and freedom. I talk about that a lot. Well, I was kind of thumbing through, looking at different things, and I came across something interesting. And this thing that I think is very interesting is this one very fact that just because the housing market isn't as good as it looks, the stock market has gone up and down drastically throughout the whole month of January. And yet, I could title this program, Beware of Obama Stealing Private Property and you don't know it. Well, I've caught in the wind of something, and I've talked about this in other episodes, and I know I have, about the UN coming up with this thing called Sustainable Development Program. Also, it is for clean environment or clean climate control. Now, my program today absolutely has a lot to deal with that idea. I also talked about this other part of Agenda 21. And it talked about taking private property away and redistribution of wealth in that nature. And wealth could be redistributed in different forms. There's different types of wealth, by the way. It's not just monetary wealth that we're talking about here today. It's your private property that you own. And if I were to able to get certain things to work a little bit better around here, but that's okay. I don't mind them not really working too much, too long. But I want to read you a little bit about where and why I'm talking about your freedom and liberty this way. And this article absolutely talks about the home refinancing plan banks don't want you to know about. Well, that's a pretty good title of a headline that I'm reading, and yes, it makes a lot of sense, and you wonder why I would even talk about that. Believe it or not, I'm a capitalist. I believe in capitalism. I believe that a person has the absolute unalienable right to own their own property. Some people get hurt when I talk about different things underneath and didn't like me talking about certain things, especially when it comes to the United States Constitution, but we're not going to get into that today. I happen to be a constitutional expert, by the way. I have a diploma that says so. So we can go on with that idea. Let me get into this article just a little bit. There has never been a better time to refinance your home. There's a lot of truth in that statement. The liberals like it, and I know the conservatives really like it. I kind of like that idea too, that it is. That's not a bad statement. But let's keep going here. That's because of a little-known government program called Home Affordable Refinance Plan, or HARP. HARP is another form of HUD. Remember when I said that HUD wants to build these stack housings, and to have everybody live in those stack housings. People were kind of looking at me like, say, this guy's crazy and off the wall. Well, let me keep going here. This allows Americans to refinance their homes by stacking lower rates and reduce their payment by an average of $3,300 a year. Well, okay, that's good and well, but let's get into the catch. Like most government programs, this is likely temporary. And that's all the farther that I have to really go into this program here. It is temporary. Sounds good. Sounds like you could save a lot of money. And I'm in favor of saving a lot of money, believe me. But there's one problem here. Seeing that the federal government controls this government agency called HUD. And this HARP is part of HUD. I've gotten all kinds of weird stuff in my email about refinancing my home. Well, yes, it sounds like a good idea because I could become a lot richer if I do. And I mean a lot richer. I could see 7 figures in my income. Guess what I'm not going to do? You can hold me to this truth. I'm not going to buy into HARP. I'm actually going to say this much. When the government says that they want to build housing and make it affordable, those words are very clear. Affordable. Remember what Obamacare is called? It's called affordable health care. It's not what it sounds to be like. Yes, I agree that everybody should have the right to refinance their homes. It's not that big of a problem. That's not the issue here. The issue goes along with this much. Guess who's connected to the HARP program and promoting it? The tyrant himself, Obama. He slid this underneath the door so that no one would know about it. And it's one thing that kind of irritates me. It's like the old days when you had these chalkboards and you could rub your fingernails across the chalkboard and you get that eerie sound. Those that are baby boomers will know exactly what I'm talking about. Millennium people, you'll never know what I'm talking about. So pay attention to exactly what I'm saying here. Just by reading the first few sentences that I did out of that article, and that article I caught at the corner of my eye, and the real title to the article, which is what the liberals are using, is banks don't want you to know. That's another key. I happen to like the banking industry. Matter of fact, I know quite a few people that are in the banking industry, and yes, we don't get along all the time, but yet we do a few other things. And if you look carefully at these contracts that HUD comes up with, you're able to get the money. That's not that hard to do. But here's the thing. Remember on a few programs back when I said that the government, that HUD will take over your private property? And a lot of people after that ask me, how can they do that? They'll never be able to do it. HARP is their doorway, the entryway. A liberal program that nobody wants you to know about, but it's being promoted by a tyrant by the name of Obama. Let's put it this way. If you look at what I just came up with And when I was exploring the UN, what the UN was up with, and if you notice that every member of the UN Security Council is a communist of some sort, or come from a communist style of government. And if you noticed one thing too, the only country that gets booed out of this is Israel. Interesting. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gets booed by the UN. The UN hates freedom and liberty. I pointed this out for a simple reason. Yes, I did get a little backlash on the last program that I came up with, but that's not. I'll rub that off. I'm not worried about that backlash. But I'm also kind of like saying here, this all goes down to redistribution of wealth under the title called social justice. And everybody should know, if you read the book by Karl Marx, social justice would mean communism. Or, in this case, if you read the writing and handwriting on the wall, Obama is also in charge of the TPA. This also, what I'm coming up with from HARP, is part of the TPA program. Is this a way of saying that we want to allow you asleep so that we could steal your home? Like I said, beware of Obama stealing private property, and you don't even know about it. Now, my friends, those that listen to this program, you got no excuse. You got no complaint when the government comes and steals your home and you get into the HARP program. Because you heard it fresh from a good, reliable source. And if you notice one other thing, too, the megacities that HUD wants to build is going to start in 2016. It's January 2016, and yes, they are being built as I speak. They are being built in certain cities. I happen to know that these cities that they're building them in are cities that cannot support a bigger population. But these cities are also communistic style leadership in them. Thus, there's no freedom and liberty. You can't speak about freedom and liberty in where these cities are built. I know someone could say, well, what about Los Angeles? Here's a key idea about Los Angeles. Who is the governor of the state of California? He happens to be the biggest idiot that I have ever found as governor. Governor Jerry Brown, of course, is a liberal, a moron, and with very progressive ideas. Another key word, progressive ideas. That means communism, by the way. When you hear Hillary Clinton say, I got progressive ideas, she wants communism. Bernie Sanders, the same thing, and O'Malley. I've heard it throughout time. Every time you got someone that belongs to the Democratic Party, remember the symbol of the Democratic Party is a jackass. Progressive idea is no more than a jackass idea. That's why I could title this, Beware of Obama Stealing Private Property and You Don't Know About It. That is a fact. Just like a stealth bomber would go in to drop bombs. Yes, we